and welcome back to a new What I Eat in a Week. Today's video is filled with so many fun recipes, some lazy, some a bit more time consuming. There's a really good cake in there somewhere. In the description, I have a little disclaimer just stating the obvious that I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just a random person making their food. Also, this was definitely not my healthiest food week. Not my worst one either, but I had breakfast for dinner a questionable number of times. Let's start with Monday. Though, day of the week doesn't really much matter anymore, does it? I'm still keeping up with the oil pulling. I talk about this more in depth in my recent German video. I'll link it down below. The green smoothie bowl I'm making here is perfect for self-isolation, because you don't need to leave your house and buy fresh fruits and veggies for it. So I'm blending up frozen broccoli, lemon juice, canned pineapple rings. These came with pineapple juice, not syrup. I added some of that juice as well. Unsweetened applesauce. Semi-ground flax seeds and a bit of water that maybe I shouldn't have added since the smoothie turned out a little thin, but yeah. I added some of this crunchy oat and spelt granola on top, as well as a handful of frozen raspberries. This was really good. It still tastes like broccoli a lot, but not in a bad way. For lunch, I made a couscous and bean stir fry. First off, I combined the dry couscous with some vegetable broth powder and some of this garlicky spice mix. I poured some hot boiling water on top and let this sit for 8 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, I cut some carrots into sticks and a red onion into small pieces. I sauteed the onion first in a little bit of oil on medium heat till translucent, so for 6-7 minutes. Then mixed in some tomato puree, a half a can of kidney beans, some frozen peas, and frozen parsley. Also added some ketchup randomly. Then the couscous. Upon taste testing, I felt it needed something acidic, so here's a little bit of white wine vinegar. Also added some nutritional yeast. Can't go wrong with that. Sprinkled some sesame on top, and that was it for lunch. Later, I had some of this sour vegan candy my siblings are obsessed with. It's pretty good. I then put oats on my face. Why and how I do this exactly is explained in my last grocery haul video, also gonna be linked down below. On to my super quick dinner, which was stuff on toast. While some bread was in the toaster, I had a gross looking but very good tasting orange. I added some vegan pesto to my toast, as well as some with turmeric seasoned kimchi that my mom got from the organic store. Also cucumber. And then I had some more rye bread with the same toppings. On to day number 2. This is one of my favorite things I made that week. A banana bread flavored oatmeal. So to a small saucepan I added small cut oats, salt, cinnamon, vanilla, raisins, half a banana mashed to egg-like consistency, and non-dairy milk. Brought it to a simmer, then let it cook on medium heat for 8 to 10 minutes while stirring frequently. I topped it with the other banana half, some cashew butter, walnuts, more oat milk, and a little bit of maple syrup. So good. And then I decided to roast up some cauliflower. I marinated it with a bit of olive oil, salt, lemon zest, and black pepper. I let this roast for 35 to 40 minutes on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. I don't have the clip for it. I'm sorry. In the meantime, I boiled some pasta, mixed in some vegan pesto, added lemon juice, some smoked tofu, some cucumber, some of the roasted cauliflower, and some more greens. Since breakfast and lunch were both on the more filling side, I wasn't too hungry in the evening, so I just had a small bowl of muesli while watching Brian David Gilbert eat strawberries on a live stream from 2018.
Berry meat alive. That was a particularly sweet berry.
So what makes some berries sweeter than others?
I think it's due to their redness.
It's the color, you think, that makes all the difference?
I think.
Moving on to Wednesday. Started my day off with some ginger water and an apple. Also had some more spelt toast, this time with cashew butter. Big fan of cashew butter. Also had these 2 mini oranges. Lunch might have been my best work so far. We have boiled potatoes here, pan-fried mushrooms, spinach and kidney beans, steamed veggies, lemon juice, and ketchup. A masterpiece. Wednesday really wasn't a good day for me. I overall wasn't feeling that great. I felt sluggish and just bad emotionally, which kind of just amped up my sluggishness even more. I was able to bring myself to at least get up and make another bowl of muesli for dinner. This one's with grated carrot and grated apple. I added some hot water to it first, let it sit for like 5 minutes before mixing in lots and lots of this vanilla protein soy yogurt by Alpro. I also added some peanut butter and maple syrup in the end. This is pretty good. For breakfast, I had probably the most German sick food of all time. Bread with cucumber, butter, and salt. This is the vegan butter I used. My mom had made this huge bowl of noodle soup for me. I also added some nutritional yeast to it, as well as some sriracha. So yeah, I love this. This was so nice. In the afternoon, I snacked on the other half of smoked tofu. And then for dinner, I had breakfast again. I know, wild. So I had 2 pieces of toast with cashew butter and jam, followed by a bowl of muesli with banana, walnuts, cornflakes, oats, raisins, and oat milk. On Friday, I was feeling like myself again, and I celebrated that with a chocolate smoothie. So to the blender, I'm adding a frozen banana, a tablespoon of peanut butter, chia seeds, unsweetened cacao, and non-dairy milk. I ended up using this as a chocolate milk base for yet again another bowl of muesli. The recipe for this particular chocolate one can be found in my previous breakfast video, which I will also link down below. For lunch, I made a sandwich testing this in tomato and beer marinated seitan. I cooked that up according to the packaging while my bread roll was in the oven. I spread some of this sunflower seed tomato spread onto both sides, then added the seitan patty and some of this kimchi, which is also from the organic store, I believe. Like, you open the jar for a second and your entire kitchen will smell of garlic and chili. It's bad. So much so that a few nights ago my mom teamed up with my brother and hid this jar of kimchi open in my other brother's bedroom. Quarantine has turned my family against each other. It's gotten this far. Later that day, I snacked on an apple and a piece of this Nirvana Noir chocolate. For dinner, I made myself some sort of lentil soup. I first chopped up an onion, some garlic, sauteed onion and garlic first for a few minutes on medium heat before adding tomato puree and my spices, paprika, turmeric, cinnamon, and pepper. Then added the red lentils, vegetable broth, and passata. I let this simmer on medium for about 25 to 30 minutes, or at least until the lentils were super soft. I finished everything off with some ketchup, then added lemon juice to it, a tablespoon of vegan pesto, parsley, and lots of greens. Had a second serving from this, by the way. And an apple. On Saturday morning, I woke up and decided to do some baking. Here's a recipe for a rather thick poppy seed crumble cake. Combine the dry ingredients to make the crust and crumbles first. Flour, powdered sugar, salt, and baking powder. Add a lot of vegan butter, cut into small pieces, and mix it in with a spoon first. Then switch to your hands.
Ist Außenkatzensstreu. Sehr unappetitlich.
While mixing in the butter, add the non-dairy milk 1 tablespoon at a time. Keep adding the milk until the dough starts to slowly come together. Form it into a big, heavy ball of dough. Dumping the mix onto your surface and kneading it like so helps a ton. And then put this into the fridge for at least 30 minutes. In the meantime, make your filling. To a small to medium-sized saucepan, add non-dairy milk, sugar, vanilla, and lemon zest. Mix it up and bring the milk to medium-high. Next up, add cornstarch. Here's where I made a small mistake. Add like 1/4 cup of warm water to the cornstarch first before you add it to the milk mix in the saucepan. Make sure to stir it properly to get rid of any clumps that might want to form. I forgot, it's not the end of the world. Next up, add spelt semolina. I want to say it's like the spelt version of polenta. I don't know for sure if polenta works. I don't see why it shouldn't though. The mix is gonna start bubbling and get really thick. Once that happens, add the poppy seeds. Turn the heat to medium-low. Let this cook for 3 more minutes before taking it off the heat. Feel free to add some more vegan milk if it gets too thick. Let this mixture cool off for at least 15 minutes before adding it to the crust. For breakfast, I made my own little semolina pudding. You can skip to the rest of the cake recipe by clicking on the timestamp that's in the description. To a small little pot, I added oat milk and vanilla, brought it to medium-high, added the semolina powder, kept stirring. I let it simmer for, let's say, 4 to 5 minutes total. I sweetened it with a little maple syrup. Then I topped everything off with some vegan hazelnut spread from DM. Frozen raspberries and chia seeds. Back to the cake. Preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius and grease up a springform pan. I took 2/3 of the ball of dough to create the crust. Press it down using your hands and drag it up the sides a few centimeters. The other third is reserved for the crumbles. Then add your filling. Smooth out the top. Cover with crumbles. Then bake it for 42 to 45 minutes, letting it sit for at least an hour before cutting it. For lunch, I cooked up some quinoa, I added the rest of Friday night's lentils to it, and also mixed in about a tablespoon of the sunflower seed spread. I added a bunch of grains and a squeeze of lemon juice. Dinner was basically the same thing, with extra beans, pesto, and nutritional yeast. On Sunday morning, I made myself some pancakes. Recipes linked up here and down below. The only thing I did differently this time was adding lemon zest to it. For my toppings, I mixed together some unsweetened vegan yogurt with maple syrup and lemon juice. Also added some vegan sprinkles I found. And some cashew butter. My brother decided to deep clean and declutter the kitchen that day like an absolute angel. I cooked up these noodles, which I thought were rice noodles, but then figured out that they're actually based on beans. Anyway, so I had those with some more seitan, black beans, greens, carrots, pesto, some more miscellaneous condiments I found in the fridge. I had some basic avocado toast with sriracha a bit later. And then for the fourth time this week, I ended my day with breakfast food. Plain soy yogurt with oats, frozen blueberries, and this piece of poppy seed cake. I don't even know anymore. I would love for you to leave a comment telling us something nice or funny that happened to you during isolation this week. Did you find new amazing music to listen to? Are your parents also doing kimchi pranks? Good news, even if they're tiny, is what we need right now. Thank you all so much for watching this until the end. Bye!
Don't lie, you're so high in this room, it's alright.